Let's first discuss aperture. Aperture. What is aperture? Aperture can simply be referred to as a diaphragm that is covering the lens. This is like the symbol for aperture. Wherever you see them representing aperture, this is what you will see. Something like this. You will see a hole in between, inside the circle, and then you see a lot of lines outside it at least. So what it means is that you can adjust it to become wider, 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 or you can narrow it down. You get it now? So the diaphragm that is covering the lens, that is actually built inside the lens. So the diaphragm that is covering the lens is what we refer to as aperture. Now, what does aperture do? Aperture help us to, okay, let's read it this way. Your eyes is like a perfect example for aperture. Aperture replicates what your eyes does. If you go out now and you stay outside for like 5 minutes or even for 2 minutes, and you are looking outside and looking out the bright outside, by the time you come in immediately, what will happen? You and Akokoshu, everything will be dark, everywhere will first become black. Then by the time you stay like 5 20 seconds, little by little, your your eyes will, one, you are getting used to the environment, but your eyes will start opening more. You now begin to see what is inside the house. So your pupil controls the amount of light that you see outside. Immediately you get outside, your pupil will reduce automatically, because we are seeing a lot of light. It is so bright. In order not to damage your nerves, your pupil will reduce. It will contrast. Your pupil will automatically contrast to reduce the amount of light that is coming into your nerves, into your eyes, so that you don't damage the nerves that will carry the image light to the brain. Now, immediately you get him back and you are now receiving a little light, you are now receiving little light. Your pupil will now begin to open up again so that you can see more. The same way aperture works. When you are in dark environment, you open up the aperture so that a lot of light can travel through the lens to reach the camera sensor. Are you getting it now? By the time you are outside and it is so bright, then you contrast the aperture to a very small one, to a narrow one, so that you are now reducing the amount of light that comes into the camera to reach the image sensor. So, and this phenomenon is measured in f-stop. We call it f-stops. That is how we measure it. So we have aperture starting from, depending on the kind of lens you bought, we have aperture 1:1, but this is not too common. In most cases, you have 1:2, 1:4. That is when they want to rate the lens. That means this is the amount, the highest level the camera can open up, or the amount of exposure the lens can handle. So you now begin to have, let's say, f2, f3.2, f4, f6, f7.1, and so on and so forth. So you have around f60, 62 or 64, depending on your lens range. So the problem here is that as this thing progress like this, let's say from f1.2 to 32. F32 does not mean big aperture, does not mean large widening or wide opening of the lens. Are you get it now? F32 means small opening, while F1.2 means large opening. Yeah. The smaller the F number, the bigger the opening. The bigger the number, the smaller the opening. You get it now? So now, the smaller the number, the more the amount of light that enters through the camera. The bigger the number, the smaller the amount of light that enter the camera. So when you have f1.2, it means that you are dealing with a lot of light. You are exposing for a lot of light. When you have f32, it means that you are reducing the amount of light. You are trying to control the amount of light that comes in. So it reduces f big number aperture reduces the amount of exposure. Large small number aperture increases the amount of exposure. That is the first primary reason for exposure for aperture. The second reason for aperture is to control the depth of field. Number one is exposure. Exposure. Number two is DOF, depth of field. So the second thing we use aperture for is to control the depth of field. Depth of field simply refers to the amount of things that will that will be in focus in a picture. The amount of things that will be in focus in an image is referred to as depth of field. So we use aperture to control that. Like if I want to take portrait now of a person now, I can use from 1.2 to let's say f5.2 or so. Now. Now, what this means that by the time I'm concentrating on the person's face, I will blur every other area. I can blur the background. This range gives me the opportunity to blur the background when I'm focusing particularly on the subject. Are you getting it now? When I want to take landscape, then I will need higher number of aperture because I want every area to be in focus. So what does this mean that is that lower the f-stop, the softer the image. The higher the f number, f-stop, the sharper the image. Are you getting it now? When you have small number aperture, you have soft image, meaning that you have the ability to blur the background while concentrating on just the subject. You get it now? You have the ability to focus solely on the subject while blurring out the background or the foreground. Are you getting now? But when you tend towards big number aperture, everything in that frame will be in focus. Kò ní sí ibi kankan tó máa blur. Everything will be in focus everywhere. So people who shoot landscapes and stuff like that, they use big number apertures because they want every area to be in focus. Are you getting it now? So if you want to just take a photograph of a person or an animal, like people who shoot wildlife now, if you look at most wildlife pictures, you see that the picture will concentrate just on the animal and the background will be so blur. So this is their method. They use small number aperture, get it now, in order to be able to blur out the background and then concentrate solely on the subject, which is the animal. Same thing we do in portrait. We use lower aperture to concentrate on the subject and then you can now blur the background. But when it comes to landscape and stuff or some other stuff like that, then you need big number aperture in order to be able to capture everything. You need everything to be in focus. So two primary purpose of aperture: to control exposure and to control the depth of field. We will explain this depth of field later more. Are you getting it now? Okay. So that is the primary function of what? Of aperture.